Today, we're going to cover a really important topic that we see all the time, and this is where people go wrong with their fat loss journey. Fat loss is one of the biggest journeys that you will go on that there is going to be problems if you don't do it correctly, and it's very important to talk about these points. So what we've done today is written down a bunch of different things that we notice people go wrong with on their fat loss journeys, and we're going to chat about them so that if these are things you're doing, you can start to improve them. We're going to get straight in today. The first one that I have is thinking it'll be easy. So it's expectation versus reality.
It's hard. Get that through your head. Straight up. First of all, it's not easy. You're working against your body's natural processing, your natural cues. And yeah, it might feel easy for the first, or hopefully maybe 2 to 3 weeks. After that, sometimes you might feel like you're in the trenches, and it's really important to remember shit's hard. It's hard. It's not meant to be easy. Otherwise, everyone would do it.
Yeah, well, that's why so many people go around in circles with it too. I think in terms of like setting expectations, going into it and knowing and trusting in yourself that like I can do this, but I have that expectation already that it's going to be a little bit difficult is really important.
Yeah, I think you just need to, I guess like weigh up your priorities and understand that how important is it to you and how willing are you to sit in that discomfort for a little while, because obviously it's not going to be a forever thing. It's just a momentary like period of yes, it's going to be uncomfortable, yes, it's going to be a challenge, and allowing yourself to sit in that before, bringing yourself out of it.
Yeah, that brings me to my next point, which is sitting in a dieting phase for way too long. So this is something we see time and time again where people sit in dieting phases for too long for many reasons. They're not consistent. They don't know any better. They are in a place of not understanding what happens over time as the body sits in a dieting phase for long periods, and they can actually completely like undo a lot of hard work by doing this.
Look, coming from firsthand experience, when I first came to Steph, I'd been yo-yo dieting, being in a dieting phase for way too long. And then people come to you and they go, I want to lose 10 kilos. And it's like, oh, well, you're only eating 1,200 calories. There's nowhere else to go. We have to prime your body again. And that takes time.
It's reversing you.
We have to reverse you out in order to make your body perform optimally again, which is, again, what nobody wants to hear when they want to lose weight.
Yeah, well, people want to go, I want to lose 10 kilos. And the coach go, yeah, no worries. Let's do
done.
it. But time and time again, we have clients that come to us that because they've spent so much time in a dieting phase, most of the time self-inflicted, like they've done it themselves and just eating really low calories, they then come to us and go, oh, I haven't been seeing progress. I want to lose weight. And we go, that's great. But in order to do that, we actually have to go through this whole process first to get you back to your maintenance, sitting there, navigating, like hormone health and making sure that your energy is good and making sure that you're looking after yourself and that your metabolic processes are good so that we can diet you back down. So spending too long in a dieting phase can actually negatively impact you. We've seen that many times, hey?
Yeah, I think it is, like you said, it's a bit uncomfortable to, I guess let someone know and also be in the position of receiving that feedback that you're not able to push further and you do have to extend your dieting period for a little bit longer in terms of, either bringing you back up to a maintenance period for a longer period of time, or maybe your body just isn't, you're doing everything according to the plan and maybe you do have to go through a bit of a tougher process in terms of bringing your calories lower than you expected to or having to do more movement than you expected to. So it's just, being able to sit in that discomfort and understand that it is going to be a challenge for a little while.
And I think as well, opening up your mind to the fact that, the way that you think your dieting phase is going to go isn't always the way that it will go. Sometimes it will take longer than you think. Sometimes it will happen faster than you think. Sometimes it's going to be easier. Sometimes it's going to be harder, but going in with an open mind. And as I said a few episodes ago, like leaning on a coach and actually getting someone to help you with your dieting rather than doing it alone is a massive, massive thing and of really big importance. The next one I have here is the all or nothing mindset. I feel like from previous experience chatting to you guys about this, Maddie and I have definitely both struggled with all or nothing. Roberta, I think you said to me you haven't personally. Is that right?
No, I don't.
Wow, mentally stable. Cheeky.
No, it's not mentally stable. I'm sorry.
It's like very
She's like, if there's
one thing that's not, I'm not.
No, it's that I'm hard on myself in a lot of other ways, but I just don't think I can't see a point in stopping. Like to me, it's just, it'll either be like, it'll keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And even if I have to pull back, I'll still keep doing what I need to do. whatever it is. So it's kind of like never really a period of rest for me. So
Yeah.
I think that's where I struggle.
I think it's still like obviously our all or nothing mindset comes from learnt behaviors, environmental throughout childhood. So it shows that there was positive relationships with achieving goals and at the same time, you know what I mean? Like you're not like, oh, I've stuffed up, I'm just gonna give up. You're just like,
Yeah,
okay, I'll just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's kind of
It's
like
resilient.
Yeah, I think resilient could be it's definitely a way to put it. I don't know. I think I always just think there's always going to be, if there's no goal, if you're not growing, you're dying. Steph's favorite catchphrase. But I feel if I don't have anything to work towards or achieve, this is going to sound awful, but I just don't think that there's any point to anything. So in my brain, I'm like, there's always something like flashing my eyes that I'm running towards.
No, I get that though. I love that because it means that you've got a sense of purpose all the time. And
Yeah.
where people get lost is when they don't have purpose.
So if I go into the all or nothing, oh my God, if I pull myself into the nothing's point where I'm like, oh, I have nothing to work towards, I can't even sit to imagine what that would look
It's
like.
not really that in terms of like not having anything to work towards. It's just going,
It's too hard. I can't do this.
or like,
Oh no.
oh, I've messed up. I'm just going to eat a whole packet of cookies because I've had 5.
Yeah, it's like so it's almost like you're going all in one way or all in the other.
Or like, yeah, I went out last night, so I'm just going to, go out tonight. Or I've been drinking, I'm going to go get some Guzman, or just little things like that. Not from experience at all. But yeah, all going, no, I can only eat a raw veg diet. I must get 20,000 steps a day, go to the gym every day, run 10Ks. Like
Basically, all or nothing. It's extremes. It's taking
Yeah.
yourself to extremes where, like, well, something I always say to our clients is it's great when you're all in, but what happens when you're all out? And so you're teaching yourself that you're either in 100% and that's the only way, or you're out 100% and then you're not seeing any progress. And so it's about kind of running in the opposite direction to the goal. The goal is going in a straight line and you're trying to go either left or right. And all or nothing is hard because it sets up unrealistic expectations of self where you think you have to be perfect, things have to be a certain way, things can't go off plan, they can't go off track. And then when they do, then all of a sudden there's this freak out and this overwhelm and you feel like you failed. So then you just go in the opposite direction.
well, I think a big thing for us is the perfectionism
Yeah,
of
always.
it. Like it's a personality trait a lot of the time. Whereas you're just like, oh, well, if you're not growing, you're dying. So
I don't know how to explain it. I understand what you're saying in terms. I think I'm so easy to like diagnose it with other people, especially with clients. When it comes to fat loss, it's such a massive thing in terms of, or like you said, like going over your calories, for example, and then leading to so much guilt and just so many avenues that you can go into with a fat loss journey in terms of all or nothing. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've been privileged to never have experienced that in that sense, to the point where I don't do anything at all. I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I honestly,
fantastic.
yeah, I'm so jealous.
I'm actually
Sorry.
actively jealous of you right
yeah,
now.
literally. But the thing with all or nothing is, as I said, the reason that is something that is disruptive to your goals is because you're more often than not going in and out and in and out. And it's actually what it's doing is it's creating, as I said, unrealistic expectations. And therefore it's disrupting your relationship with self, but it's also, there's no level of consistency.
It's that negative feedback cycle. It's, oh, I'm going to be perfect. Oh, I've stuffed up. Oh, I've stuffed up. I'll continue to stuff up. Oh, I've got to be perfect tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then doing that
And it's
over
exhausting.
and over again. And that is like not only a toll, especially within a fat loss phase where you're already like down regulating all of your body's natural cycles, you're just messing up your hormones left, right, and center.
And your mind as well.
And there's no focus on health.
No, you're right. That's the very, very good point. Like fat loss should be done in a way that is sustainable. And obviously fat loss long-term isn't sustainable, but the process should be, right? So it's like, for example, if you're in a build or a maintenance phase and you're doing steps and training and nutrition, it's the same philosophy in dieting. It's steps, training, and nutrition, but it's the intensity at which you do it and like just tweaking the amount that you do to be able to have one goal or the other. But the issue is that we get into this place of all or nothing, meaning that you're so focused on doing things right, quote unquote, that there is no focus on health. It's like you've got to get from A to B, and that can be really dangerous in itself.
Especially within the nutrition side of things as well. Like people think if they have Guzman or Macca's that they're blowing off their whole plan and they then have the chocolate and then the ice cream and then the alcohol, and that just continues and continues and continues, and to the point where there's no focus on health at all, and people don't realize. And don't get me wrong, I still get caught up in this, but you can have it all.
Yeah.
It's just about balancing it out and realizing like there's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah.
And it's just your priorities, like Robbo said.
Yeah, 100%. Next one I have here is not being educated enough and thinking people can do it on their own. So one thing I see go wrong all the time, which kind of leads back into our point of people like under eating for long periods, trying to diet themselves and then coming to us, and then we have to reverse them. It's a whole thing. But people go wrong in the fact that they are not actually educated in the area they think they are. They don't have as much education as they think they do. And then because of that, they're doing things that don't really make sense for their goal, maybe are a little bit all or nothing, maybe don't fit in with their lifestyle. They're making it harder for themselves than it has to be. And then because of that and thinking they can do it on their own, they kind of just run around in circles.
It brings me back to my point earlier of there's just so much education and information out there.
Mm.
And if you're trying to do it on your own with like even studies these days are paid out and are biased and are telling people certain things like, oh, carbs are really bad for you, or there's too much cholesterol in eggs, and people are worrying about like the 1%ers of thing like aspartame and Coke Zero and it's going to kill us all, rather than focusing on just the basics.
Yeah.
And that's where we come in to reintroduce the basics to them and let them know like nothing's off the table. You just need to be smart about it.
You see a lot of this, don't you? Because I know we have conversations about this.
In terms of misinformation online.
Yeah, and like when people are, going to extremes because they don't know any better around. I think one that we spoke about was like sugar and there was so many others that you mentioned.
There's so many going through my head. I'm
Yeah.
trying to hold back here. But yeah, it's wild. It's more so like it is definitely, you can put blame on like the people who do spread that information because it's so much easier to use emotive language and scare people and tell them, hey, you're overweight because of this one thing that you're doing wrong. Buy my shit and I'll fix you.
Yeah. It's
And
killing you.
It's
like,
killing
things
you.
like
This
that.
is one thing doctors don't want you to know. And they're just so like, they really prey on those who don't have the information behind them and education behind
Like
them.
vulnerable people.
Yes, but also it is kind of on the person themselves to understand that, there really can't be a simple fix, because if there was one simple fix to your problems that isn't going to require you to put in a lot of effort and discomfort and change of lifestyle, it likely is not going to be a concrete fix, a fix at all, or actually going to, be something that you can sustain for a long time.
Well, the thing here to think about, right, is if dieting was easy and if there was an easy way to go about things, and if it was something that didn't require effort and challenge, then obesity wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, we'd all be fit.
No, there would be no such thing as obesity, because it would be easy for everybody to change their lifestyle and it would completely solve the problem. So it comes back to that expectation of, well, if we know it's going to be hard, then why are we looking for those quick fix solutions when you're just going to go around in circles and continue to stay where you are?
Yeah, I think looking for the quick fix is like the really big umbrella of that, because that's definitely what people go in to find. And then, we've had people that have come in with those thought patterns before, in terms of, I can't follow through with that, but I'm going to quit coaching because it's a bit too hard, but I am going to cut out sugar, on my own. I've gone down a different avenue. I'm not going to eat seed oils. I've seen people do that, and it's just so disappointing, because I can see the solution to your problem.
No, yeah, you can literally see it, and it's staring us in the face, and instead they go, oh, I'm just going to do it on my own, or
Because it's too hard and I'm going to do my own thing.
yeah. Oh, and you know what? Like, side note, I think that's one of the most frustrating parts of being a coach. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love fitness coaching and I love helping people. And I'm sure I can talk for all of us in saying that we absolutely love the fact that we can provide value and change people's lives so much in, like a day, like day to day, the amount of stuff that we can give people as support systems and feedback. And it's fantastic. But the one thing that grinds my gears and frustrates the hell out of me is when you can see a client's potential and you're staring the solution that they have to their problem in the face, and they are just not willing to put in the work and you're like, come on, like, let me help you. And it's almost like you want it more than they do. So frustrating. And it's one of those things that I think you like, it comes back to you need to be coachable, which is another mistake that people make when it comes to fat loss is, are you willing to actually take on board feedback and put in the work? I mean, we see it time and time again, right? How often have you seen people that just aren't willing to put in the work but continue to complain about where they're at?
But they also think that we can somehow do it for them. They think by signing up to coaching that they will lose 10 kilos
True.
rather than the act of what we need to do within coaching. And I think that what coaching has definitely given me and something Steph's definitely taught me as not only a coach but as a client is you need someone to have that objective point of view, because you are not objective of yourself and you are consistently going to want to change the plan if the plan's not working. And the plan
Quote
is
unquote not
quote
working.
unquote,
Yeah.
the plan's not working because it's not working as quickly as you want.
Yeah, which brings me to another point, right? Which is when it comes to mistakes people make in fat loss, it's leading with emotion. In fat loss journey, it's not going to be linear. It's not going to be easy. Things are going to be up and down. And when you're caring so much about your ability to make progress and you're caring so much about the effort you're putting in and you're caring so much about the result and you have emotional ties to your why, like, you know, you don't feel good about yourself, you're not feeling confident, you want to make a change for whatever reason, but then you lead with emotion, you aren't seeing anything objectively. And actually what you're doing is you're seeing everything from such a small lens and discounting your ability to progress long term because you're so tunnel vision on things that are not actually correct. And this is where people make changes left, right, and center, and they don't follow through consistently because everything is led with emotion.
Yeah, I think that that's such a great way to frame it. And like to put it practically, let's just say someone has been seeing consistent scale weight drops and they're happy with where they're at. And then one week they plateau. The next week they see another plateau. And, you know, from that, because of course that's when you're looking at things from your own point of view with such a tunnel lens, that is where a lot of people, especially if they were to do this on their own, they would react reactively basically and based on emotion, make unnecessary changes that don't need to be made. Whereas a coach would look at it from a big point of view, look at patterns, look at, you know, trends over time and then make changes that are actually, you know, science backed.
Well, we give things time to work.
Yeah.
And we give things time and we make decisions based off of education, science, mathematics. We make decisions based off of lifestyle factors that you're probably not taking into consideration, like your sleep, like your stress, like, you know, your routine and what's actually manageable for you. I mean, the amount of times, I couldn't even count the amount of times that, you know, one of us has pulled a client off and that extra training day or changed the nutrition strategy or, you know, reduced their steps and gone, hey, like we know that you're really ambitious and you want to do this right now, but we just need to reduce this because it's not actually achievable for you. And, you know, they appreciate it, but would you do that on your own if you thought you needed to do more? Probably not.
No, similar thing with like a plateau, especially in females with a scale weight increase. And they're like, oh, I just won't eat today. Or I'll just go for a 3-hour walk.
Yeah.
Or I think that's a really big thing. And especially like 90% of our demographic is females, like of our clients right now.
99%.
99%.
We have 2 male clients, which we love dearly. They're incredible. But we do actively work with women.
Yeah, a lot of the time women do come seek us, but obviously that comes with hormonal challenges and periods and PCOS and endometriosis and menopause and all of these things that can affect scale weight. And so like I even have clients where like their measurements and their photos would be consistently different week in, week out. They might have like an increase one week, but they have their period or they're having a flare up or something like that. And then they freak out and they go, I'm not making any progress. It's like, well, trends over time, like you clearly are. And some people just need to have their heads pulled in.
Really?
Steph's called me out a lot in this episode already, guys, and we don't need to
Continue
with that.
Just for your knowledge, so I actively coach Maddie. So
Yeah.
she gets it from me, left, right, and center. I'm nice, I promise.
I love the tough love.
Okay, so next one I have here, I've just got a couple more. So not tracking progress properly, which is perfect because that actually ties into what you said last. So we obviously at Within Reach do fortnightly check-ins. I'm a huge believer that like your results will come as the byproduct of what you do in habits. So we don't like to fixate on scale weight or photos or anything like that. We love to get them because when we get them, we can make sure that you are actually progressing. But in saying that, if we do them too regularly, I notice for our ideal client, because we deal with clients who are, more beginner intermediate or all or nothing mindsets, women who have health struggles, women who have lack of confidence, like that is the person we help, right? So them coming in and weighing themselves every day or even once a week, it can sometimes be really unhelpful
And triggering.
Yep. And that's the type of client we work with. So we understand that. Therefore, we do fortnightly check-ins, which means that each fortnight they'll upload measurements, photos, and scale weight. Obviously, depending if they're comfortable. Some clients are comfortable doing some things, but not others. So it just depends. But I think like when it comes to if you were to do it on your own, what I do find is people don't track correctly their progress, or if they do, they're only doing part of it. So they might do their scale weight, but they're not doing photos and measurements. Or they might do their photos, but not scale weight and measurements. And it's the triangle, like having all three is really helpful, especially because 9 times out of 10, people are tracking scale weight, but we already know that that's going to fluctuate regardless. So I think that alone closes people in on what they think they're achieving.
Yeah, 100%.
I also think, sorry, just to add to that, but it's basically just also understanding like what you're looking out for when you are tracking that.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, like you can track all you want, but if you don't have the education behind it, you're not going to know what you're specifically looking for to make changes, to assess and to keep things the same if they need be.
And the other thing too is like, say you are tracking photos, we're our own harshest critics. And, we are 9 times out of 10 not complimenting ourselves, not seeing changes because we live in our body every day. Again, the amount of clients that have made significant progress and they can't see it until we like pull up a side-by-side photo because they live in their body and they don't notice it when you have those day-to-day changes. But I think same thing, like if you're looking at yourself from an emotional place, and you might see those photos side by side and, not see any change where there's heaps, or you might not think you're progressing quick enough. And that becomes a problem in itself too.
Yeah, you'll never be objective about yourself.
Never. And that's why coaching exists. Another one is cardio. So where people go wrong in their fat loss journey is cardio. And I don't mean that in saying that cardio is not something you should have, but it's a tool and it's only a tool. I think a lot of people utilize that as the forefront of their journey though.
It's again education. Yes, cardio burns calories, but
so does weight training.
And the more muscle you have, the more calories you're burning at rest, the less movement you have to do overall. Cardio definitely has its place in terms of weight loss, but also functionality and longevity.
And cardiovascular
health is extremely important. And I think that, again, there are extremes of people who are like, I don't believe in cardio, and people who don't believe in weight training.
Yeah.
And a hybrid approach is always going to be your best bet. But especially in terms of fat loss, people think that they can just jump on the Stairmaster 5 days a week for 30 minutes and not realizing the actual impact that it's having on like their body, their energy levels, their stress, their fatigue, their just their overall functioning as like a human being.
Well, it's because it's higher intensity work, right? So like when you're doing so much high intensity cardio, it's like anything. High intensity cardio has its place depending on the goal, but do it too much. But it's the same.
It's the same with everything.
It's the same as everything. Yeah, you do anything too much and it can become a problem.
Yeah.
But I think where cardio becomes a problem mostly is, particularly for young women, they think that the more that you do cardio, the more weight you're going to be able to lose. And it's a shame because I could easily daily scroll TikTok or Instagram and see some, 20-year-old, mid-20-year-old woman on a Stairmaster and saying this is the only workout you need for fat loss, and then giving like the levels of the Stairmaster or like the sprints on the treadmill and explaining that this is what helped them lose weight. And it is misinformation and it's really sad.
Yeah, I think also another thing is just the misinformation in regards to like the discrepancy between cardio and strength training. Obviously, it being strength training being more stigmatized when it comes to, women and losing weight. And so that is why I think for a really long time, everyone believed that cardio was the only way to go about fat loss because strength training apparently was going to turn you into a man. So I think it's not to say that one is better or worse, but it's just about understanding that, what people thought worked before has now actually been proven that there's so many other avenues which you can take that are actually going to get you there more effectively. And this is, of course, talking towards fat loss. But yeah, it's just about understanding what the best tool is and what the best tool is for you. So you don't have to take the cardio avenue because you actually don't need to.
Yeah.
But also just adding on to that, like, yeah, weight training be associated with like you turning into a man. Like our parents, for instance, it wasn't as normal, and it was much more stigmatized for them to go to the gym. Like only bodybuilders went to the gym, and people who are super fit and on steroids, and people who are doing comps and everything like that. Whereas in our generation, it's much more accepted, which is fantastic from a health point of view, but it's also can be quite negative in terms of the misinformation out there. And I think social media just perpetuates it.
Yeah. I believe as well that when it comes to, strength training versus cardio for fat loss, you are right that everything has its place in what you said before. However, one thing that I do also want to highlight is that for our ideal client, like, because I take all the sales calls, right? So anyone that's thinking about coming into the business and like wants to learn more about what we do, I'm the one who jumps on a call with you and, just kind of explains to you like what we're about and how we can help you and if we can even help you. There's never any pressure, but it's like, what are your goals? Can we help you? And are you the right fit for us as us for you? But I always notice that 99% of the time, people are coming in and they're going, I want to lose weight and I want to tone up. I want to lose weight and I want to lean out. And they're the words that we get. So in order to lean out, if you will, or tone up, you actually are required to do some level of resistance training, because just going on the Stairmaster or doing some form of cardio, it's going to give you some results potentially if you do everything else correctly. Everything's well-rounded. But if you're looking for that toned, lean look that you're after, you need an element of resistance training of some format to be able to get that result. So this is where like the way that we coach is we always layer things. It's resistance first, then it's cardio if needed. And cardio is many things. It doesn't mean high intensity exercise. It doesn't mean going and doing, like sprints. It doesn't have to be crazy. If we have clients that love that, we'll program it. But at the same time, like even something as simple as steps, just doing some steps, just hitting 8,000 steps a day, going for a walk, like that's also classified as cardio too. And I think people think that it has to be so high intensity when it really doesn't.
Yeah, I also just think people look for the wrong thing when it comes to fat loss in terms of like calories burnt. So they go on their watch.
So true.
Yeah, have a look at it, because I understand where the correlation comes in. Like, you'll hear words like calorie deficit, maintenance, calories. So they associate, the amount of exercise they do with the amount of calories burnt. And it's been proven so many times that it's just not the direct correlation that you're looking for. And there definitely, there's an efficient way to go about it. And it's not by looking at the calories that you're burning during a cardio session.
Yeah, well, because I think what a lot of people don't know is like we burn energy, which is calories, all day, every day. So, us sitting here right now talking to you, moving our hands, thinking, leaning, fidgeting, like that's also burning energy, or in other words, calories. And so I think people think that the calorie burn comes from the workouts, which is why they're like, oh, if I burn 400-500 calories, but it's you actually burn more at rest than you do in your training. Because if you think you get 24 hours in a day, you might train for 45 minutes. So what are you doing for the other, 23 hours? And so that's another thing that's really important to recognize is it actually has a lot more to do with what you're doing for the rest of the time, not just for that one session. So that's a really good point as well. The last one that I have for today is quitting too early. So this kind of ties back into some things we've already touched on, but what I have noticed a lot is, it ties into things are feeling hard. It ties into people really going into that all or nothing mindset. There's a lot of areas that come in here as to why someone might quit. But at the end of the day, people need to learn patience and understand that your fat loss journey may not be as smooth sailing as you think it is. You may not reach the goal as quickly as you think you might. And people self-sabotage and quit way before they should, thinking they're not making progress, when it's almost like if you just pushed for that extra week, or if you just did that extra thing, like have you guys heard that story of like the gold mine where I might butcher this.
I've seen the photo.
Yeah, I might butcher this, but from my understanding, it was like there's this analogy of, someone came into a gold mine, or they bought a gold mine, and they were digging and digging and digging and digging and digging, and they got this excavator and they were digging and digging and digging for years and years and years and years. And then they got to a point where they were fed up. They were like, oh, there's no gold here, I'm just going to give up. So they sold the gold mine. So then someone else bought it. They came in, they hit the shovel once, and boom, they hit gold. And so the analogy kind of goes down the line of if you just keep going and you don't give up, you never know how far away you are from the thing you actually want. And giving up now, you could be 2 steps or 1 step away from getting to where you need to be. But if you give up, you're never going to get there. And that's the analogy I think people need to take into their fat loss journeys as well. So that's the last one from me. Did you guys have any others you can think of we haven't touched on today?
I couldn't think of any more, but I'm just wondering, like, why do you reckon people do stop too early? Is it because they find it too challenging?
That could be part of it. I also think, though, we just live in a society where there's a lack of patience and there's an expectation that things are just going to come to you. And I believe that people are entitled and they think that they deserve things. And we don't deserve things unless we work for them. I think we live in a very entitled world where people blame and they shame and they expect to be further ahead by just wanting something. But there's so many people that aren't willing to just do the hard work and they just sit there and complain about where they're at rather than putting the work in.
Fair enough.
I think there's a similar thing in terms of just now the convenience of everything that nobody's, well, it's not nobody's, but a majority of people aren't willing to just sit on it for a bit and put in the time and the effort and chip away at it slowly.
Well, you're right, because everything is at our fingertips.
Everything is so convenient these days, and you're not getting a dopamine hit every time like you do something hard. Well, you're getting a dopamine hit every time you're doing something hard, but you're not going to get a dopamine hit thinking about doing the hard thing, which is the barrier.
Well, that is the barrier, because when you look at how the mind works, we are always looking for feel good. And so we will always opt for things that feel good in the moment versus things that feel good later or will pay off later. And this is where being able to train your mind for that delayed gratification, it's a hard thing to do, but if you really set yourself up for it and you give yourself time to get into that headspace, I think that people are more successful. So when you look at like what's the difference between someone who's successful, not just in fat loss, but in anything in life versus the ones that aren't, what do they have? Well, they have resilience, they have grit. So resilience being they get up, they keep going, they don't quit, and they have this understanding that it's going to take time and I'm just going to keep moving forward. The grit comes from like, this is going to be hard and I've set that expectation that's going to be hard and I'll just keep moving forward and worry about one hurdle at a time. But the other thing that they also have is they have learnt patience and they do be able to get themselves to a point where that delayed gratification comes because they've learnt over time that, you know, things are going to take effort and my capacity might be changing throughout, so I'll be able to alter the plan throughout. But at the end of the day, they're willing to wait instead of wanting something now when it's not how it works. So
I like that.
That's my take. But anyway, that is everything for today. I hope that this has brought through a couple of points for you guys, that some things maybe you're struggling with. My biggest recommendation is if you are struggling with these things, reach out. We're always more than happy to help you guys to answer some questions and to make sure that you're feeling supported in your journey, whether you're in our service or not. So take away what you will from this and maybe start to look at some areas that you can improve moving forward.